David Blaine is certainly not one to shy away from the spotlight. Over the years, he has performed numerous stunts in front of millions of people and is usually able to pull it off successfully. More specifically, he's become known for doing what has been dubbed endurance events, and examples of these events include him being buried in a plastic box under a 3-ton water-filled tank, spending 7 days submerged in a water-filled sphere in New York City, and encasing himself in an ice cube for over 64 hours. The man is no stranger to pushing his own limits, eagerly entertained and anxious while watching him do so. Of course, to no surprise, he's back at it again, not with white vans, but this time with the plan to fly 18,000 feet up into the sky, using nothing but balloons. Now, as you can imagine, this is an incredibly dangerous attempt at something. Anyone who falls from 18,000 feet likely won't live to tell the story, and as they say, what goes up must come down. Of course, Blaine is a professional, and has been training for this event for years. He's had to jump out of a plane hundreds of times, got his license to fly, and dropped about 25 pounds to make it possible. Now, I certainly hope he pulls it off, as this would be yet another incredible feat to add to the man's resume and legacy. However, it's quite possible that the attempt fails, and as you can imagine, this could lead to some very severe consequences. Today on Life's Biggest Questions, we're asking, what if David Blaine's Ascension fails? How's it going, friends? I'm your host, Jared Bronstein, and today we're talking about one of my favorite things, magic. I mean, I guess it isn't magic because this is almost a mix of science and a daredevil's attempt at doing what would appear to be impossible, but let's just roll with magic. Let me know in the comments down below who your favorite magician is. I've always been a fan of Chris Angel or David Copperfield, but Blaine is also incredibly wild. As always, make sure you guys stick around to the end of this one for some comment replies for another video, but for now, let's get right into it and look at all the possible scenarios should Blaine's extreme attempt fail. For those of you who don't know, David Blaine was originally planning on flying over the Hudson River from New Jersey to New York City while being strapped to numerous helium balloons. The attempt was supposed to be done on August 31st, but due to logistical reasons, the date of the attempt and the location has also changed. Now, Blaine will be attempting the event on September 2nd at 6 a.m. Pacific time in the Arizona desert. The attempt is going to be live streamed on YouTube as an original special event. Blaine posted to his own YouTube account explaining the reasoning for the last minute changes. I quote him saying, "Because of the complexity of this project, I'm not going forward with my plans to do New York City at this time. But the good news is this groundbreaking R&D flight will be done for the first time right here in Arizona, which is the most beautiful backdrop that I've ever seen in my life." He then goes on to explain that the event is wind dependent, which leads me to believe there is no guarantee he even attempts the event, as it will literally be decided the day of depending on the weather. From a logistics standpoint, to no surprise, there isn't a ton of information out there. I'm not too sure what he's going to be wearing, clothes-wise, but I can confirm he will have a parachute, and his plan is to reach a certain height before putting that parachute on. Some sources claim once he passes the 1,000-foot mark in the air, he's going to put on the chute. Others claim he wants to reach somewhere between 5,000 to 6,000 feet in the air. Truth be told, I'm not really sure how or why he'd put the parachute on after he's in the air, but that's to be determined, I guess. And just to clarify, I'm not talking about actually pulling the parachute out to have it deploy, but actually putting it on. It's also incredibly important to mention that he's not a random guy just trying something crazy. He was able to get the best in the business, from weather experts to skydivers, and even the world's best balloonists, which I didn't know was a thing, to help him. So first things first, although I probably shouldn't have to say this, don't attempt it at home. Alright, I've said my piece. Now let's get into business here and talk about what happens if Blaine's attempt does fail. There are a handful of things that could potentially go wrong while Blaine is on his way up, at the height he's planning to reach, and on his way down. For starters, balloons pop. They're full of air, and as we know, they aren't solid, so it is very possible that one or more than one of the balloons pop. Depending when this happens, the results of an outcome vary. If he's 10 feet above the ground on his way up and a balloon pops, he won't drop down too far. If he's closer to 18,000 feet up in the air, well, he would likely start to slowly descend from the sky. But that's just if one were to pop. If multiple balloons popped while he was tens of thousands of feet in the air, then he'd obviously come down a lot quicker. Does that mean he would fall right to the ground and die? Not necessarily. Again, he'll have a parachute, and I'm sure they've done their due diligence to ensure that he will be as safe as possible performing the stunt. Keyword being as possible. This is still very dangerous, and the reality is that something could go horribly wrong. If you can't tell what I'm getting at, well, he could die. But again, a failed attempt doesn't mean he falls from the sky and dies. It could mean some of the balloons pop, and he has to parachute down. Worst case scenario is death, best case scenario is he successfully pulls this thing off. But there are plenty of other factors, aside from the balloons, that could lead to Blaine failing the attempt. As he goes higher up in the air, as we know, it gets a lot colder. Again, I'm not sure what he's going to be wearing, but hopefully something that could keep him warm as he ascends up. We wouldn't want him to freeze up and get hypothermia. This could be incredibly dangerous, as his muscles could tighten up, he could start to hallucinate and lose vision. Another scary possibility, given that Blaine will be so high up, there will be a lack of oxygen. He will also be equipped with an oxygen tank for this reason, but hypoxia is another condition that may occur. This is when there is a lack of oxygen to certain parts of the body, which can also lead to confusion and a much slower reaction time. Mix a few pop balloons with either of these conditions, and even with a parachute attached, matched, Blaine may be falling from 18,000 feet at an incredibly high velocity. Hopefully this doesn't happen, and I truly do believe he will be able to accomplish the task at hand, if you'd call it that, without any incidents occurring. But the scenario I just mentioned would be the worst case. Him falling out of the sky without any real control of his body, leading to a very scary sight and likely death. There's also the very realistic possibility that the attempt fails and Blaine walks away uninjured or with a few minor injuries. We're not even talking about any broken bones, but maybe he has a high ankle sprain from landing awkwardly, or on his way up for whatever reason, things don't go as planned, leading to an emergency landing. There's hundreds of things that could potentially happen. One balloon has a small hole that slowly lets out the helium, a few balloons somehow come off the strings, his harness isn't as tight as it should be. Whatever the reason for him failing to happen is irrelevant to the point I'm about to make, which is, if he fails, he'll almost certainly try again. It's not like he hasn't failed stunts before, and almost immediately after made it clear he's going to give things another try. Most recently, back in 2017, Blaine attempted to catch a bullet, shot from a real gun, in his mouth. Of course, there was also science behind this trick, or stunt, as he was wearing a mouthguard which was supposed to catch the bullet. That's not to take away from the fact that he was getting shot in the mouth, as that's not only impressive, but absolutely insane. Thankfully, he survived to tell the tale of the failed attempt, in which he was in fact shot, but the mouthguard wasn't strong enough for the impact of the bullet and exploded in his mouth. David at one point thought he died. In a clip following the failed attempt, David explained that, quote, "When the bullet struck the cup, there was a high-pitched ringing in my ears, and I felt an impact in the back of my throat. I was sure the bullet went right through my head and that I was dead. Suddenly I became aware of the pain and it brought me back. At that moment I realized that the mouthguard had shattered again and I was alive." To no surprise, those around him asked that he doesn't try to attempt it again, as they literally feared for his life. His response, I quote, "We're going to do it right." That's the end of the story. Now I will say, as of this recording, I haven't seen him attempting to do the trick again, but that doesn't mean it wasn't in the works, and it still currently may be. It's quite possible that he decided it was too dangerous and wasn't worth another attempt, which is also a possibility with this stunt, should he fail the first time. I don't know what's worse, being shot in the mouth or ascending thousands of feet high with just balloons. Being afraid of heights, I'd probably get shot in the mouth. Either way though, it's safe to say if the first attempt doesn't go as planned, David will likely give it another go, but there's no way of knowing for sure. All in all, it seems this stunt has been years in the making, and David Blaine has become known for not only being an incredible magician and illusionist, but also a daredevil of sorts. Similar to that of Criss Angel, these guys don't do so much cliche magic such as card tricks and pulling bunnies out of hats, although they do some of that as well. Instead, they built their brand on doing things that are seemingly impossible. And it seems we're all drawn to it, because we want to see how things play out. Either someone is about to achieve the impossible, or we're likely going to see them fail miserably, which, again, I certainly hope is not the case this time around. Now, as always, you guys gotta let me know in the comments down below if you think Blaine will be able to pull this one off, and if you'll be watching. Again, it's going to be live streamed on YouTube at 6 AM Pacific time, so 9 AM for all you East Coasters. Well, not all, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you're from like Toronto or like Florida, maybe the Carolinas. I'm not sure what time it is in Carolina right now. You get what I'm saying, guys. East Coast, like EST time, is 3 hours ahead of Pacific time. So if you live in EST time, 3 hours, 9 AM, September 2nd. Check it out. For now, let's do some comment replies from the video, What If Walmart Buys TikTok? Why You Little said, the thing is, Walmart can't buy TikTok, any Microsoft. A US law states that a company with experience in technology and social media is needed to handle the media. I did not know that. You know what? Of all the sources that I read, not a single one mentioned that. So if that actually is a law, which again, I'm just taking your word for it right now, because this is a random comment on YouTube. For all I know, you could have left a comment being like, Walmart can't afford to buy TikTok because Walmart is losing money. And I would have to take your word for it, because I don't really research much of the information you guys leave in the comments section. I just trust that you guys are being 100% accurate and authentic every single time. So I'm gonna say, if that's the case, well, we got a doozy. But Twitter was also interested, so maybe Twitter and Microsoft or Twitter and Walmart team up. Who knows? But it's quite possible that they do get bought out and saved. $$ said, why are their bot accounts spamming I'm single? Well, that could be because in a lot of the videos I talk about how I have a very hard time finding a partner to get intimate with. So now maybe the bots have just picked up on what I've been saying and they're trying to get me to, you know, fall for their tricks of purchasing things online, which I probably shouldn't spend money on, but do anyways. JP said, when I hear the word influencer, I go all the way to the comments instead of watching the video. You put vid. I was gonna say video, but you put vid. That's why I came out like vid, because I wouldn't normally just say vid. I would say video. Anyways, I was just trying to stay true to your comment, and I say to that, did I say influencer in the video? I probably did, because I said TikTok influencer or something. But why? I kind of just, I'm not trying to call you out, but I just don't understand the comment. Like, why do you go right to the comments when you hear the word influencer? Are you very anti-influencer? Or I don't know. Anyways, I thought I would include your comment because you comment a lot. And I wanted to show you that I recognize that you comment a lot, JP. So thank you for your support, friend. Anyways, guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein. Make sure you guys check out David Blaine with his attempt of the Ascension, September 2nd, 6 AM Pacific time. This is not a paid ad, although I feel like now I should probably get paid for saying that. So maybe cut that out. I don't know. Up to you guys. Anyways, I'll see you guys soon.